Hello, everyone. I wanted to just take a minute going into this week just to share with you and to emphasize or re-emphasize, if you already knew about it, a resource that's going to be really helpful for us, not only in this unit when we talk about classes, and in particular in this half of the unit when we take a look at string classes, but just going forward in general as a good resource, a fallback. Whenever you need to look up something about Java, this is the place to go. And so it's called the Java API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Basically just a fancy way of saying a resource or documentation for Java. Now, there's lots of places you could go on the internet to find out stuff about Java. So this is not the exclusive place to go, but you could say it's the official documentation. This is a site that's maintained by Oracle, which is a big enterprise company. They do a lot of stuff with servers and backend stuff. But they have agreed as a service to the developer community to be the custodians of Java. So whenever you download, if you ever have to install or download the official Java development kit, you'll go to Oracle to get that. So they've kind of agreed to be the custodians of Java, and they also maintain this site, the Java API, for Java programmers to come and find really anything you ever really wanted to know about Java. Everything is here. There's so much information here, in fact, that's sometimes kind of overwhelming, especially for a newbie to find your way around. So let me just give you a real quick tour and just point out specifically strings as an example, but in general, how you can find stuff on this site. Okay, so this is the Java API. This is a landing page. It says it's for Standard Edition 7, which is a little bit older version. We're up to, I think we're now 11, 12, 13-ish for the Java editions, but that's okay. For the stuff we're doing, the older stuff is just fine. If you want the bleeding edge, the cutting edge, newest stuff, you can take a look at the newer Java versions, but for the stuff that we're doing, really no effect. The older stuff is just fine for us. Okay, so if I want to find out, say I want to find out some stuff about strings. So I go to this panel on the left, this navigation panel, and probably I'm going to look under here, all classes. So remember, we're studying classes as a basic building block for Java programs, as a model or a template for an object that your program deals with in real life. And so strings, pieces of text, are, of course, building blocks of any program. So these are all the built-in classes that Java has access to, and you can see there's literally hundreds of them. There's so many different classes that people have written over the years for Java, and that's why it's a real popular and enduringly popular programming language. So if I want to find out something about strings, I can scroll down. It's in alphabetical order, so I can find my way to strings. Did I pass it? I think I did. Style, we're on style now. ST. Oh, here. Okay, we're getting into strings. Gotta be careful I don't scroll up too much. Here we go, strings. String. And we're learning this week about the string class, how strings are not your primitive variable types, but they're actually objects. They're classes and objects with built-in methods, built-in functions that can do a lot of really useful things with them. All right, so here's our information on strings. Now, there's a lot of information here. Some of it even I don't really understand. But if you're really deep into Java development, a lot of this stuff might be useful. There's a lot of kind of trivia here that, if you're kind of a casual Java programmer, or even, if you're not somebody who has a profession where you deal with Java every single day, a lot of the stuff you probably won't be too interested in. But there's anything you ever need to know about Java strings here in this section. Now, for us, probably the most useful part of this is going to be if I scroll down here. Okay, there's our constructor. And we get to this section here that says method summary. Okay, remember, methods are just functions or procedures. They're just bits of code that do useful, small little things on your object or your class. So here's the different methods for strings that are built into the class. And if you just scroll through, you see a lot of them. There's a whole ton of different things that these kind of utility functions these methods that can do pretty much almost anything that you could think of with strings. And that's important because text processing is a real big part of especially user interfaces. When you get input from a user or you get data from some source, a lot of it's going to be in the form of text, and being able to analyze and process and effectively deal with that text, which is often in just English language, is a useful and indispensable task. Okay, so these are all the different methods, all the different functions that you can use to deal with strings. And we've dealt with, so for example, here's our old friend, the equals function. So when we're comparing two strings, we know we can't use the double equals in a conditional, say, that we would normally use if we're comparing numbers. We have to use a special built-in equals method that comes with the string class in order to correctly compare the contents of two strings together. Okay, so here's, if you click on it, here's the documentation. It gives you a lot of information, and you can kind of go on and look at all these other different methods that you can use with strings. Okay, not all of which, of course, we're gonna need to use in our class, but there's a lot of useful information here. So if you ever continue your Java education or you become a developer professionally, then this is probably something that you're going to make use of. Okay, so the Java API, kind of just a neat resource, kind of just fun to browse around, even when I look around, there's a lot of stuff I don't completely understand or things that I probably wouldn't use, but still kind of an interesting resource to take a look at. So I'll put the link in the announcements section if you want to just take a look at it, but kind of a neat resource. So now that we're on classes and objects, and in particular this week we're dealing with strings, I thought I'd share this with you as kind of just a neat thing for you to take a look at. All right, so have a great week, and we'll see you online.